Hey guys, it is Adam aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today we have a ton to go over in a short amount of time. If you did just come from our other video, there was really crazy stuff that went on today. We, of course, will talk about all of that today. Of course, we're going to talk about China's hacking bombshell leak. We are going to talk about China demands U.S. stop contact with Taiwan. We are going to talk about the first private U.S. moon landing. Was it a success? And we have the FBI and Homeland Security urgently investigating the huge cellular nationwide outage, saying that it is most likely a giant cyber attack. Warning Chinese cyber attack will be 100 times worse than the At&T outage. We'll tell you who said that just now. And then, of course, National Guard members activated for deployment out of Dayton, Ohio. This is not good. Belarus, major joint exercise with Russia incoming. We have attacked ship catches fire in the Gulf of Aden. We have the Navy wants rechargeable magazines for laser cannons. And, of course, new claim NATO would defeat Putin's troops. What does Poland think about a likely Russian attack? And more sanctions for Putin to laugh at. State actor takes out pharmacies across the U.S., and, of course, barge strikes China bridge, sending vehicles plunging into the water. All of that today. We'll be right back. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, so by the way, I don't think that is on our end. That may be on all of your end. And we are talking about today, if you can even hear me right now, there's been one person after another saying it is cutting out, that the channel is buffering. That is, everything looks perfect from our end. So that may be on all of your ends. We're actually covering today. There are cyber attacks going on across the country. There was a nationwide outage. At any moment, this could be going black. And that's exactly what we're talking about. Let's bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on and how are you doing today? How are we? Are we even...
Well,
I know a lot of people are saying buffering.
we're seeing some problems. So hello, Adam. Hello, Fugle fam. Yes, we're streaming just fine. And the distributor of our stream is just fine. But it looks like maybe even YouTube could be having some issues.
So we're going to do the show as always. We always, you know what? Actually, let's do this. I'm going to start recording this just in case you on your end do not receive us. We will record it and we will post it later. As far as what is happening right now, there are hacks all across the country. This is why we've suggested protecting yourself against different things. Normally I would say this later, but again, I hope that people do pay attention to what is happening. Make sure to get yourself and your vehicles prepped. Make sure to go check out EMP Shield if you haven't already. Again, this can protect your vehicles, trucks, motorcycles, boats against an EMP, and it can protect you against solar events, which the solar activity could be affecting other stuff. We heard back from Wages. Again, he says 100% hack. This was not related to the multiple solar events going on right now as far as the cellular outage. So if you want to go check that out, you'll also help us as well. We're heading into a tough time of the year. Every 4 years, we head into a tough time. So go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. Make sure to use the code MARF. You can help support our channel. Again, thank you again for that. On top of that, you're protecting yourself and it's very easy to put in your cars, trucks, motorcycles, homes, anything else. So go over and check it out. Again, marfooglenews.com/EMP. All right. And again, we're going to do the show as usual. Let us know when it stops buffering or if it does come back to normal. But this is our point. If we are coming in just fine for you, depending on where you are in the world, right now, the U.S. is experiencing downs all over the place. And there is some confirmation that we are getting attacked right now as far as a cyber attack. So we're going to talk about all of this today. And this is a perfect example of why this matters. Your daily life could be disrupted. And this is why we've been talking about this for a long time. All of the active and retired military are buzzing right now. There is so much being speculated right now. But one thing is for sure, we are in tumultuous times in the world. You've got wars sparking all over the place. And then, of course, right now, what is happening, we're getting way, way too close to actual, hot World War III. And people are going to say, oh, you're crazy, you're nuts. Trust me, in a minute, they won't. And in a minute, they'll be asking you, hey, my internet's down. What do I do? My internet's down. I don't know how to do this. Do you know how to do this? So get stuff printed. It's a smart thing to do. It's a responsible thing to do. If you have things you don't know how to do, essentials, print that stuff out. Print it out and have it somewhere. Put it in your safe. Put it in a file cabinet. There's so much information out on the internet right now. If the internet does go down, and we're talking about a real event, not like a day here or a half a day here. We're talking about if it really, really goes down for real. An attack from an adversary country that we are currently in some sort of proxy war with right now. Mind you, they've been threatening more than we've ever seen before. Three-letter agencies are telling us every day how bad it is. And the strongest words we've ever heard. And yes, you could totally say, oh, it's all Ganda, it's all to scare us. That's awesome. But I'm sure there's a percentage of us that say, even if they are just trying to scare us, that means that probably there's something in the works or there's some sort of orchestrated thing. So be on a swivel this whole time. So first of all,
and Adam,
go ahead.
Real quick, for those watching live right now, a lot of people are saying there's buffering. There is buffering. It's on YouTube side. For those of you that are live on the stream, rewind a little bit. If you just rewind a little bit and then watch, you should probably lose those gaps.
Yeah, and we'll just do it
until it gets corrected. But everything's fine on our end through the streamers, even on the other platforms. It's just YouTube right now.
Yeah, Twitter is fine. All of the other X is fine. D Live is fine. So just to let you know, we'll stop talking about it for those that are watching and like, okay, got it. It's working fine for me. So we'll record this and we'll put it back out for those of you that miss it, and it should record it just fine on YouTube if not. With China's hacking and spying revealed in bombshell leak. Dex, do you want to go over this and what was entailed here? A trove of information.
It certainly is. So look, a lot of stuff has come out. There was an anonymous source revealing a wide-ranging hacking operation and basically the priorities of China to push and shape the global information landscape, if you want to call it that, as they're saying. It is a 190 megabyte leak. I think it's actually bigger than that. Leak that came out on the 16th, and it's from iSoon, which is also known as Axum in Mandarin. It's a private security contractor with ties to China, China's top spy agency. And detailed within all of these documents are the firm's surveillance of targets, Chinese, foreign and government and private, everybody that they've been trying to go after, and a lot of details around that. Now, some of the stuff that's highlighted specifically is, around some of the organizations that they've targeted, like the ethnic minorities, but also it actually shows specifically what even Christopher Wray was describing, the FBI director, about the fact that they are targeting critical infrastructure around the globe, and obviously at the U.S. So that's a big deal. It is a leaked document or a leaked set of data. One of the spreadsheets showed the security contractors had a 459 gigabytes worth of data on roadmaps in Taiwan, and other information which China considers, obviously considers that its territory, but it had all of this data. Now they didn't get access to the data; they just saw that they had a spreadsheet that showed they had 459 gigs of data about Taiwan specifically, and what they were trying to gain access to and having access to. So this is a big deal. It sort of reiterates what they've been telling us specifically about how important and how vulnerable, how important this threat is, but how vulnerable we are, and how heavily invested China is in specifically going after other countries and specifically going after their infrastructure.
And we may be seeing examples of what is happening right now. As many of you have already said, this is buffering. Many channels are buffering. While Dex was talking, went to about 4 other channels. It is most definitely the platform that is having issues. I'm sure we'll see that with, as far as down detector will show that. The moon, intuitive machines lands on moon in nail-biting descent of private Odysseus lander, a first for U.S. since 1972. So the moon lander, a lot of folks were following it live. They were watching as this all happened. Obviously, there is a debate in our community whether this is even happening or not. Or whether the first landing or any of the first landings and the debate around those. But with today's technology, it's insane to think that it's been this long since 1972 going back to the moon. It's really insane. I mean, all of the stuff that they found out more recently, it's like, how did they not do this in the 90s? How did they not do this in the 2000s when the computer tech not even doubled, quadrupled? We're talking about 10,000x in technology from the first computers, and they still didn't go up there until now in the 2020s, when we have brain chips, we have neurostrike technology that can control people's brains. They have, of course, VR that's insane. We have AI and Unreal graphics that can literally convince you they're real. Voice cloning technology. They've got DNA printers. It's just insane that this is happening just now. And I even heard of a few really respected people, of people that have been respected for a long time, saying they believe this is actually the first time, right? But who knows? Again, everybody's going to argue until we're up there ourselves. It says, after a nail-biting descent, tense silence from the lunar surface, the United States is back on the moon. So, I mean, in a sense, if all of this other crazy stuff wasn't happening right now, this would be a big deal. A lot of people that are following this and watching, this is a proud moment. The U.S. is back on the moon. It's a big deal. I mean, 30, 40, 50 years ago, people around the world would be glued to their television sets or to their radios listening to what was going on. Today, it was kind of like whoever kind of remembered it, paid attention to it, but a lot of people were focused on other things. And does this have anything to do with what happened today? So we're doing this spectacular thing today, and all of a sudden, all of the cell phone and internet is having issues. We're having cyber attacks. We're having what day? So it's now Thursday too. Going in, hopefully it's not a holiday weekend, right? Gosh, to have all of this stuff.
It's a holiday week, right?
It is a holiday week, President's Day, and then all of that. But the theory is that, like, on a holiday weekend where there's no Monday, that people are relaxed and it's Friday, they get off work, and that's when everything goes down. I sure hope that that's not the case. Thursday night, and now things are starting to go crazy. Odysseus, a robotic lander built by Houston-based company Intuitive Machines, touched down near the lunar South Pole this evening. It was a landmark moment for space exploration. No private spacecraft had ever soft landed on the moon before. Sure, some people are like, yeah, no private or public, right? And an American vehicle hadn't hit the gray dirt softly since NASA's crewed Apollo 17 lander did in December of 1972. Mind you, in 1972, we were in a different place technology-wise. The chip inside of that birthday card you open up and it sings happy birthday to you, That chip is actually stronger computer. It's a faster computer than what you had in the original lunar lander. That's how powerful the microchip is in a stupid birthday card that sings happy birthday. And we haven't gone back since 1972. That's pretty insane. And it does cause a lot of hubbub around the whole issue. It says, what a triumph, Odysseus. And that is right. Odysseus, right? Has taken the moon. NASA Administrator Bill Nelson said in a video message the agency aired after the confirmation of a successful touchdown. This feat is a giant leap towards forward for all humanity. Stay tuned. It's kind of like a throwback to this is one small step for man, one giant leap for humanity, or for mankind, whatever it was. And it's like that famous thing. It's like nowadays, half the people don't even know this happened today. That's how distracted we are from everything. I mean, we just supposedly went to the moon today, and people are like, oh, I can't get on Twitter. I mean, that should tell you something about where we are in our world right now. Like, people are more mad that they can't check their Facebook or Insta than they are excited about the moon landing. It's a craft landing on the literal moon. If everything is above board and legit. So yeah, I mean, pretty crazy. Dex, have you heard a lot of people talking about the moon landing? I mean, I know that there's news about it. There's a couple of people, but it's like, really, it's not as big as you would think it would be. I know it's not a manned mission, but geez.
You know, it is in the space community. Obviously, it's going to get a lot of traction. I think it's not getting huge headlines at the moment. I think maybe they want to see what happens with it. Like, are they able to do anything, or anything interesting comes of it? It's probably more heyday when it doesn't work, or something goes wrong, or they lose power. It's like they did with Japan's lander. But it is a big deal to the sense that it's the first time we've done it as with a private company, that is. And it's the first time in obviously a very long time. So anyway, we'll have to pay attention and see what comes tomorrow, what comes out from the tests and stuff they're going to do, and do they send any new pictures or anything like that? That would be interesting. Or does something happen and it just all of a sudden dies like the other ones?
Okay, so
that might be enlightening too.
So usually we do this a little bit later, but today's a little bit different. So many people are buffering because, and mind you, we're covering hacks. Entire nationwide cell phones went down today. Huge hacks, and they say hacks. Initially, they wanted to say it was solar events. Nobody believes that. Again, solar experts are saying, no, it would look completely different if it happened via that, and other things would be affected. This was some sort of cyber attack, according to many. So let's do a roll call right now. And I understand it's choppy and I'm cutting in and out, but let's do a roll call. And somebody said you are playing just fine. So I want to hear a roll call, general state or province, wherever you are in the world, and we can get a general idea. Just on top of saying like, hey, from Ohio, say, hey, from Ohio buffering, or hey, from Australia doing just fine. I think we could tell a lot from that. And again, we'll see what's actually going on here. And I know it's going to be delayed, so I will see it here in just a minute. Todd heard, as far as the audio not matching up, at least, if you can hear it, that's great. If the lips don't match and stuff like that, that's less of a problem than actually getting the message. So just a reminder, let's do a roll call real quick and say, hey, Washington State, you're coming in just fine. New York, it's buffering, that kind of thing. So what is going on? Aaliyah from California. We've got Beer Juice in the house. Bobby Sue Fry. Tinfoil Hat says, yeah, lots of buffering. And folks, this is the reason I'm doing this. People said over on X, they are buffering too. So this may be an internet thing. And after what happened today, it definitely dropped my stomach seeing how many people are saying that the internet in general is having problems. Let's see here. And I can tell people are missing a lot of the message too. So it's probably delayed. But again, general state, province, and if things are going well for you. Do you have no signal? Is it buffering? That kind of thing. Let's see here. Days, what is happening? Teresa Broadway, Viv B, Hugs Queen, what's going on? Lots of buffering tonight. It stops and starts every 30 seconds. David Carter, well, it's still going. Please let us know. Do a roll call. What state you're in. I feel like it's probably very delayed because a lot of people ended up taking the suggestion of
Yeah,
rewinding.
we're still delayed. We're still on live. We're still covering the moon
Okay,
landing.
so again, I'll go into a couple things here, and then once chat catches up, I'll start covering that. But again, just keep telling us where you're from and what the status is of it. All right. Let's see here, and then China demands the U.S. stop any official contact with Taiwan following a congressional visit. So this was a big deal too. The same day that this is being said, we have all of these cyber events go on. So is something being pulled under the rug? Dex, do you want to cover this? And I'll watch the chat for what's going on.
Yeah, certainly. So China has given a stern response today to the fact that we have a U.S. congressional delegation visit to Taiwan. So demanding that we stop any and all official contact with the island. So the quote from them is China opposes any form of official interaction between the U.S. and Taiwan authorities and rejects U.S. interference in Taiwan affairs in whatever form or under whatever pretext, mindful of the extreme complexity and sensitivity, they said. So this was coming from the foreign ministry spokesperson, Mao Ning. And obviously, they're not happy with the congressional visit that we have there. We've done this before, where we've sent Nancy Pelosi, which was a very high ranking at the time, and we've also had other visits as well, both from the White House groups as well as from Congress. So we continue to do this, and it definitely rubs them raw, so to speak. I think the biggest deal is there's a new leader, a new president that was picked there, and that's probably also what they're concerned about is how we're cozying up with that leadership, that new leadership versus the prior leadership.
Yeah, as far as the yeah, just a reminder, it's not our stream that is down. It is the entire internet having a major issue right now. It's not only X, it's not on our end. So again, just a reminder, you can go watch other videos. You will see the same thing on live channels. China, again, with all of this going on, it's kind of convenient that we're having all of these issues. Just a reminder, I did a roll call and people still have not caught up to that. But FBI and Homeland Security urgently investigating whether AT&T outage was a cyber attack. As security expert tells Daily Mail, it has all of the hallmarks of a hack. This is actually outdated. Pretty much everybody is considering this a major hack. Now, we covered this on our other channel. You can go watch that video afterwards, share that out. That did not buffer. The internet was doing fine. So it's a very short and to the point video with all of the updates. And we reminded you that just recently, not too long ago, all of the senators, or at least half of them took them, got satellite phones that actually that did not need the cell towers. So very, very odd. Dex, can you go over the FBI investigation and what is going on?
So with this major outage that happened today that affected a lot of different people, what we're seeing is that the FBI has come out and Homeland Security has come out and said that they're urgently investigating it to see if there's actually a cyber attack. Now, the looks of it, and from what we have seen and what we have talked to others, is it very much looks like the signature of that because of the way of a cyber attack, because of the way it happened, the way it sort of propagated and slowly moved and expanded to multiple areas. It wasn't like the whole network, especially AT&T, which was the largest one that was affected. It wasn't like the entire thing went down all at once. but it seemed to propagate across locations, which is very suspicious and also looks very much like a cyber attack. Now, that also could be intermixed with just people waking up in different time zones and reporting it. Most people woke up this morning to find that their phones weren't working, and that was a very big deal to them. And it caused, a lot of strife when you can't, say go to work because you're an Uber driver, or you can't go to work because you don't know how to drive without a GPS. I mean, some people are like that. Sorry, no offense. I know some map challenged people, directionally challenged people. But look, it is a big deal when we lose that type of communication, and it wasn't just a short-lived thing. It actually lasted for quite a long time. Many people reported up to 8 hours or more, depending on what time of the day they started. I think it was around 2 or 3 o'clock when AT&T announced Eastern time, when they announced that they had resolved all the issues across the board. So
And Dex,
again, very big deal. Yeah.
the as far as the roll call, everybody is buffering. Some people are saying it's only this channel, but again, some said it only this channel, but I haven't watched other lives. So I have personally went to at least 4 live streams and they were all buffering and everything else works fine. I go to X, I can watch videos. I go to D Live, I'm looking at 4 different streams and they're just fine, completely perfect. So I have personally
Well,
gone and checked other live streams and they are buffering. But maybe it is regional, and that's one thing I want to point out. Everybody has, different towers they're connected to, different parts of the country that they're in, and that's why I wanted to do this roll call. Ohio, Cincinnati buffering from Central California, Ozarks buffering. I don't see many people. Wisconsin said it stopped when you started the poll. That's funny. Oregon buffering, Cincinnati, Santa Barbara, California, Ohio buffering. Yep, buffering. San Diego. So it seems like a lot of California people. New Hampshire, mother buffer situation. Let's see here. We got a lot of people. Wow, the chat is
well,
insane.
and now we're seeing buffering on the other platforms too,
Yeah.
on D Live, and it looks like our into our stream ingestion, it's actually down now. It's down to 15 FPS, 2200. So yeah, we're seeing issues with network
I'm going
connectivity.
out here at 2000 kilobytes per second. So it's not from it exiting. Yeah, 30 frames per second it's going out. So this is a huge issue. Um I guess it's got that like that butterflies in your stomach feeling. Like I sure hope it's just us, right? Why would that happen? I mean, we did cover some of the crazier things lately. We put out that video. That video is getting a lot of attention, I guess. I mean, not a couple thousand more views than normal. With, of course, the gentleman talking about how this is not a solar special ops gentleman, but that's not. I mean, it's barely more than a normal video. So that's just weird. Louisiana, Seattle buffering, Arkansas buffering, skipping Arizona, Texas, Houston buffering. Wow, this is bad. I've never seen it this bad. Ever. I've seen it just cut out, but not stay up and then just be horrible. So let's fly through this. We may Rubio warns Chinese cyber attack will be 100 times worse than the AT&T outage. Your power, your water. So again, you can take it for what it's worth, right? Rubio warns Chinese cyber attack will be 100 times worse than an AT&T outage and affect your power and your water. Senator Marco Rubio warned on social media that the AT&T outage affecting tens of thousands in America pales in comparison to what the potential is of a cyber attack would look like. I don't know the cause of the AT&T outage, the Florida Republican posted on X on Thursday, but I do know it will be 100 times worse when #China launches an attack on America on the eve of a Taiwan invasion. Now, do you notice he threw in there? He said on the eve of a Taiwan invasion. What's going on with Taiwan right now? Well, we just visited Taiwan. It's kind of it's kind of it's hard to say this is a coincidence. And if he's saying that this pales in comparison on the eve, if they are going to go take Taiwan, man, get your Jennies charged, get your gas, man. Um, hopefully this is nothing. Like again, I hope that if I am not trying to scare people. In fact, if you are easily scared, if you don't like scary movies, then yeah, I would definitely not watch scary movies. Okay, today is a scary movie. Today, the whole event today is a scary movie. But we've been talking about this for 5 years. A lot of us are preppers, so this is something that even if you're prepared for, you're not prepped for it. Like you still get the butterflies in your stomach when I know a lot of us, if we lose power to a storm, or especially when you lose your power to a storm, but it's really not that windy, something like that. A couple times this last year, it's like my power went out and I just happened to have bad reception where I'm at all the time. It's like I couldn't get my phone and the power went out. It's like that drops my stomach. But then it ends up being like somebody hit a pole down the street or something like that. But as far as you can be as prepped as you want, nobody wants this to happen. Nobody wants us to be hacked. Nobody wants an EMP to go off. Nobody wants everything to turn off. And oh my gosh, it's like it gives me chills. It's almost like if you think of being up high on a building, if you have a fear of heights, you can just think about it and get cringy feelings, right? Or like watching a video of somebody skydiving and looking straight down can give your body that feeling, or even going near an edge. It will give you that oh my gosh, it gives you the shivers. It gives me the shivers to think about this. It gives me the shivers to think of the screens going black and me sitting here and it just goes dark with all of my lights and everything just whoosh. I know how it feels because I had everything go out because of a normal power outage. While I was sitting here, I had to work my maze out of my desk and everything else over cords and everything else. And I know how that feels. That was at a time when we were at really high tensions. So like right now, with everything that's going on, it's very very concerning to say the least. But this is why we spiritually prep ourselves for anything that may happen, and why we always pay attention to the patterns. It wouldn't be a surprise if something happened, but I am praying that nothing does. Let's see here. We'll see if that gets better. I suspect the astronauts went up to low Earth orbit only, like ISS is, and then showed a fake filmed landing, came back down. No one the wiser. Perhaps the mission control people didn't know. Small number of people in on it. How many involved may be elderly or perish now? Viv B, I know. Well, a lot of people say, well, there was 5,000 people involved. I know there's an argument against that too. There's 5,000 people involved, but compartmentalization is a crazy thing. Rip Curl Readiness is here. Nice to see you. Skies on High, Sean C. Scrappy Dude, nice to see you as well. Thank you. Polly Medina. Thank you for joining the fam. I appreciate that. And Dinah Rose. Thank you, and thank you. Yeah, all of a sudden we've got drop frames detected over the last 16 minutes. So we'll see if it gets better. Unfortunately, I don't have much I can do about that. As far as the power and water, yeah, it's a freaky scenario. Hopefully Marco Rubio's just totally freaking out for no reason. And then Ohio National Guard members. And by the way, we just deployed 5 carrier strike groups to Taiwan. So coincidence that all of this is going down? I think not. And then Dex, do you want to go over the Ohio National Guard members? And I got your message and trying to see if there's anything I can do to make it better, but
no worries.
Doesn't seem like there is.
Yeah, so look, this is one small window into what's happening. This is a release that came out talking about specifically the folks in Ohio, the Ohio National Guard, the National Guard's 148th Transportation Company. They are deploying out to U.S. CENTCOM. And for those of you who don't know, U.S. CENTCOM manages the parts of or all of the Middle East, Central Asia, and parts of South Asia. So they're departing out. They'll be supporting Operation Inherent Resolve and Spartan Shield. Pay attention, see if there's anybody else that's getting deployed out. I think that's one of the things we always tell people. And I mean, you're not don't loose lips sink ship it or nothing. This is public knowledge. It came out, but we've heard numerous times. We get this a lot privately from a lot of folks who are getting shipped out or who are getting deployed, and we want to make sure that we're paying attention to what's happening as they may be ramping up. Just like Adam said a moment ago, they're saying up to 5 carrier groups now in the Pacific at one time. It's the largest ever. So, or in recent times. So, anyway, Ohio National Guard, God bless you, be safe out there. But they're deploying out to Operation Inherent Resolve and Spartan Shield, which are both in the Middle East, if I remember correctly.
Candy Jedi says, no, the AT&T wasn't just a stupid update. Yeah, that's for sure. The way that it spread, absolutely not some sort of, we were just updating our servers or something. No, that doesn't happen. People lose millions of dollars when the country loses that much of a chunk of communications. That's a big deal. This actually just recently happened in Australia, where 60% of all of their overall cell phones lost communications. That happened in Australia not even a year ago. I want to say a few months ago. Mind you, they're an ally. A lot of our allies have had, almost all of our allies. We did a video on this. We actually researched all of the allies that have had critical infrastructure affected by specifically just one country. We could probably make a video on every compilation of critical infrastructure hacks from all of their other adversaries, because they're all doing it. And then let's see here. Let's go over to Belarus announces major joint exercise with Russia for 2025. The thing we look out for drills is that drills can turn into the real thing. Drills can hide movement of military. NATO right now is moving military equipment all over Europe. They even have told people not to take photos and videos. They have told staff and military not to do any kind of social media posts with what they're moving, where they're moving it. That's kind of a big sign that they don't want anybody knowing what's being moved around. So as far as that goes, it's starting to make sense what is happening. Whether it be the start of all of this is orchestrated or pushed along for some sort of agenda we do not know, or it is organic and it's true what they say and Russia's going to do something that triggers all of this. Either way, it really looks like there's a lot moving forward. I think it has a lot to do with what China is going to do with Taiwan, and all of their friends are like, hey, when this goes down, we have one chance to do this. This is how I feel about it. That North Korea, if they want South Korea, they team up with China and Russia. If Russia wants Ukraine, if Venezuela wants Guyana, I bet they went to a meeting for the BRICS and they were like, hey, I hate these guys. I hate my neighbors. I would love to take them over. China's like, hey, by the way, we're going to take Taiwan and we're going to, if we all do this at the same time, it won't only be a success. You'll be able to go get whatever you want. They won't be able to come and save everybody. That's how I feel like it's happening right now. And then the groups that are aligned with them behind the scenes, the very, very, very people at the top, they're going to have things lined up. They're going to have a place to be. Even if everything is destroyed, I think it's very odd that places like China have made ghost cities and replicas of all of these major cities, like a fake France, which right now, that fake France is not completely empty. There's some people living there. It's not a ghost town per se, but there's only people on the very row of where the mini Eiffel Tower is. And that area is set up, and now they started doing major construction on the interiors. And it's like something like that. You look at France and all of their actions, even their words, like Macron saying, you know what, we're actually going to take a step back from the United States right after a visit from Xi. And it just so happens there's a city like that. You see that there was a copy of, what was that city? Jackson Hole, Wyoming, which is an oligarch city that kind of a ski town, kind of like Dex, what is it similar to, the ski town, Aspen? They say it's very close to an aspen,
Yeah.
right? An aspen for the rich. That's what Jackson Hole, Wyoming is. There's a carbon copy of that in China. And it's like, this kind of stuff would be obvious if you did go along those lines and thought, man, maybe this is happening. It would be so crazy if it was really that simple. Like, they were making cities for after all of this stuff goes down. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. But the joint exercise, it's going to start, again, exercises of the so-called regional grouping of troops. Belarus and Russia will take place in Belarus in 2025. Next year, which also lines up with what they're saying, is when, Russia is going to take over and do all this NATO stuff. But would it start earlier if China took Taiwan? I think so. I think there's a lot of opportunities and a lot of doors that open up when China takes Taiwan. We now officially have our Navy split up already. We have 5 carriers heading towards the South China Sea, and we have others in the Red Sea dealing with of course, Iran and all of that. And then you have North Korea and South Korea, and you've got our submarines parking and stopping by South Korea. You've also got us doing drills with Guyana saying, hey, if Venezuela does take you over, because they just did a vote to do that, we'll help you out. You've got Cuba doing training exercises with Russia and China and opening up training camps. You've got citizens, Chinese citizens, in droves coming into Guam, not to mention into our own country. Guam is a serious strategic area for our military. Not only that, for our defense. You've got amphibious ships getting pumped out like we've never seen. You've got a lot of things lining up. And now we're seeing the cyber events that may go with it. So this is not looking good. Attacked ship catches fire in the Gulf of Aden near Yemen. Dex, what the heck happened here?
Well, hot on the heels of the prior one where they had to abandon ship because it was sinking. Now we've got another one. This time it's not sinking, but it did catch fire. So another, I'm assuming it's a cargo ship. The ship's not named, or I didn't catch the name of the ship. But coming out of the UK, the British Royal Navy has warned the UK MTO has received a report of an incident of 70 nautical miles southeast of Aden. The authorities are investigating. They said the vessels are advised to obviously go through that area with caution, but the ship that took on, I guess, some sort of attack from Yemen did catch fire, and that's the latest that they know. Of course, this is starting to become daily. I mean, it has been a daily thing that they've been attacking, but now it's starting to become almost daily that we're going to be hearing these reports of actual damage, whether it be sinking ships or in this case a fire, and that's significant. This is going to cause a major problem in the shipping industry, especially for Europe, as everybody goes into the Red Sea to get to the canal there, and the Suez Canal is so critical for movement. And if they stop this, it's going to have a huge effect. I don't, people, they're going to have to travel all the way around Africa. It's going to take a ton of time. Prices are going to go up, and it's not just easy to do. That direction, the waters are a lot more difficult. So, it's not as calm of seas as you would have, say, through these gulfs in this warmer water as opposed to down there. So, this is continuing to escalate. Like we've said, I had even said before, when we start to see ships sinking, it's going to get even bigger. And it looks like their tactics are getting more accurate, let's say, as opposed to just being annoyances or scared because you see missiles flying by or you hear them coming near you, or it's, people on a boat trying to jump your ship. They're actually now getting hit and having serious damage to the ships.
Yeah, it's and we'll see and I bet you if nothing crazy happens in the next couple of days, in the next week, we're going to see a whole bunch more of the exact same story with all of these underwater drones and all the stuff that's going on. And then before we talk about the Pentagon, U.S. Navy wants rechargeable magazines for lasers to take out drones. So they're expecting swarms, obviously. I do want to talk about energy again, if you haven't already. If you, for those of you that ordered these prior, again, a lot of you that were higher up on that list, you got it a while ago. A lot of folks are now getting theirs. There is a wait for these. So it's better to get them yesterday than tomorrow. Lithium is being fought over, and this is one of the best solar generators on the market. The Tactical has 1,500-pound latch system. It's got built-in heated batteries for extreme cold temperatures. It's, of course, tough as a tank, and it's built like they used to be. This, again, is the same generator that is not only designed by the Air Force Research Laboratory in Energy, it's the same one that just won the Army contracts, the STTR Phase 2. So these are the ones that the Army is choosing, and that's because all they care about is if the thing turns on when they need to turn it on. They don't care if it's pretty, they care if it works. So if you want to get the same reliability, then go over to marfuglenews.com/energy, INERGY, and make sure to use the code Marfoogle. Be ready, though, for a wait. Many people, though, if you cannot do the wait, I'd highly recommend looking up the actual company behind whatever one you choose. When I chose this, when I chose a solar generator to represent, because I think solar is the way to go with what could happen as far as if their power goes out, gas stations will be out. I would highly recommend looking at the company behind any of the competitors you're looking at. Because if you say, oh, this looks great, I can get it on Monday. You get it on Monday, but then on Thursday when something goes down and everything happens, will it work? That's the big thing. And who is that company tied to? Who is that company a front for directly? That's what I would pay attention to. Really do your research on the company you're buying it from. That is a huge, huge deal. As far as this goes, go check it out. There's so many awesome things you can do with it. It's modular, it's expandable, up to 96 batteries. You can expand it, you can mod it, you can add different units. So go check it out, marfuglenews.com/energy, INERGY. All right, and then as far as the Pentagon is, they're asking for rechargeable magazines. They don't want just lasers. They want lasers that can go pow, 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 pow. What does that tell you? Dex, this tells me that they're waiting for some sort of drone swarms, that they are needing it back to back to back to back.
Yeah, it certainly does. I mean, the fact that they, there's a problem with the generation of power for this. It requires quite a bit, and it takes time to charge it and then fire it. And if they need the ability to rapid fire, which is what it sounds like, then the whole idea of having magazines is the way to go, where you can just, run in and out power banks over and over again, sort of like you run in and out munitions. So obviously a big need and ask for the military, but I think we're seeing the exact need for this right now playing out in the Gulf of Aden, in the Red Sea, with all of these missiles and things that are being fired at them. They're dropping probably hundreds of thousands of dollars every shot to try and take these things down.
Yeah, these systems, I told you about these 6 years ago. It was my sister's boyfriend, who at the time was Boeing, now is Space Force. They are now, I don't know, I guess you would call it estranged. They never got married or anything, but the guy was working on these car-size lasers way back then. And when I talked about it, people were like, oh, yeah, sure. And this is before the DoD came out and talked about direct energy and how it was not only real that China and Russia weaponized space, but when you go back to that, I thought it was really interesting. Fugel found that it was like not only did they have power issues back then, which is what they've now stated, that back then it was an issue of like, how would they power it for back to back to back shots if they needed it? And that was before a lot of the TEDx videos came out about how these swarms were getting more advanced. And it's just been a couple of years. It's only been a few years. And now the technology has gotten so crazy. Now China already has an autonomous drone carrier. It can go with exactly 0 people on board, and it can basically pilot itself. It can launch itself. Again, it's going to have drones on board that are going to be able to take out targets without a single human being alive on it. So even if you took out the people on it, it could still run on its own. And they're trying to integrate that with AI, and the AI would not only be able to dispatch them, but then the drones themselves could be able to identify their targets with facial recognition and AI and decide who to take out. It's really crazy. We're even in a position where the weapons themselves, you know how they make jokes all the time? They say, well, the weapon didn't fire itself. In the future, it just might, right? They say, oh yeah, well the knife didn't. It's the person holding it, right? Or the bang bang didn't take that guy's life. The guy holding it did. But we are getting into an era where that will be a thing, where the weapon itself will do the bidding, right? When you're putting 50 calibers and 40 calibers on robotic dogs with AI involved, that literally is it did it itself. So very, very crazy to even think about that. How far we've come in 6 years. It's insanity. And then Germany, NATO would defeat Putin's troops, German forces chief claims. With this, Vladimir Putin's troops would be defeated by NATO if he dared to launch an attack on Europe's eastern flank, the chief of the German armed forces has said. In an interview with The Telegraph, General Carsten Breuer, the Bundeswehr chief of defense, said he had, quote, no doubt that Germany and other NATO forces stationed in the east could repel Russian soldiers if they invaded neighboring Baltic states. He said he also did not expect that Putin would resort to using nuclear weapons strikes in the next stages of the UKR conflict, but called on the British and German armies to have confidence in each other through the difficult years ahead, quoting Field Marshal Montgomery. It's almost like they know what's going to happen. It's almost like they're expecting this. One thing I will point out is China wouldn't just take Taiwan by itself. This is going to correspond. They know they've done every war game, all three of the major countries, Russia, China, and the U.S. The Pentagon admits it. The only way that they see that they've ever simulated the U.S. losing is if it is on a multi-front war. And if you add in some sort of civil conflict or some sort of power outage or some sort of grid down scenario in the U.S., then you have our National Guard, you have our police, everything going crazy here. Outside of that, our military will be busy not only with this country, that country, this country, that country, everybody that we've said that we would help protect under treaties like the Philippines. You've got Guyana, you've got South Korea, you've got Israel. You, of course, have UKR. All of this would have to happen at the same time for them to win. So for that to happen, that means all of our adversaries would have had to talk and say, we've got to do this all at the same time. They would have to pool their resources and they would have to attack at the same time. This is what many of us expect. So when the light goes off, remember to think about that because I think that the more people know when it goes off, there's not going to be communications, or if it goes off, there's not going to be communications, right? You're not going to hear it. We're going to talk about this tomorrow. You guys got to watch the video, but somebody is going to be acquiring the AM radio, or hopefully possibly acquiring AM radio. AM radio is long range. It is one of the ways that if there is a serious emergency, it is how people would communicate. It just so happens that somebody that not a lot of people like is going to be acquiring that. Very, very freaky when you think about what's going on. If you control some of the last ways of communicating, then you control the scenario. So there's a lot lining up right now, and it's getting really nerve-wracking. But they say, yeah, they'll beat Russia, I bet, if Russia just does it by itself. But we're not expecting it to happen on its own. Almost half of the polls think Russia is likely to attack Poland. I mean, this is just what they think, but when you talk about this, half of Polish people, according to the study, which actually questioned a lot, said that they say, yeah, I think Russia's going to attack. You could also chop that up to, well, they've been fed by their government. So as far as that goes, does it make it true? No, but it is kind of an alarming fact that half of their people believe that this is going to happen. But we don't know what they're telling the locals there. One thing we do know is that Poland, we know Germany, we know the Netherlands, we know that Lithuania, we know that Finland, we know that Sweden All of these places are telling their people to prepare for a war and or a disaster. They're telling them to have food, water, a plan, a backup plan to get back home. Some are suggesting 4 actual wrote down routes to get home. That is the exact same thing that military does to get to work or to get to station. 4 calculated routes to get to work if a disaster happens. So you got that happening in all of those countries. That's kind of a telltale sign that either it's going to happen, or they're going to make it happen, or they're scaring the crap out of them. Which do you believe is going on with everything else that's happening right now? Let me know in the comments down below. All right, and then let's see here. Let me quickly, and then Dex, do you want to go over Russia? U.S. is to impose crushing sanctions on Russia 2 years after the invasion.
Yeah, so they're basically launching new sanctions, and what's so it makes no sense here is they didn't work the first time. So why do they think they're going to work now? They're just going to strengthen their abilities to generate revenue through other means, like selling billions and billions of oil to India. But nonetheless, in hot on the heels of the Navalny incident, we now have the president coming out saying, "Hey, we're going to do a whole bunch of new sanctions on Russia in relation to this, and they're going to be very strong, and et cetera, et cetera." I think when this happens, it's sort of like, I'm sure Putin is over there chuckling because none of them have really done anything outside of the some of the initial capturing of some oligarchs' private yachts and things like that. That may be a little bit of an inconvenience, or it probably is a significant inconvenience to some of those rich guys. But I'm sure they have money to buy other yachts, or they have other yachts, and they're planning to eventually get them back. But right now, it seems like as far as wartime economics go, as far as Russia's ability to generate revenue, as far as its ability to feed its people and maintain its population, none of that seems to have changed at all under sanctions. And here we are just sanctioning them some more. So I expect very little from this. It's probably more just pomp and circumstance to say we are against what they did to Navalny.
Well, it's definitely getting wild. Somebody actually suggested for me to do a speed test. Consistently over the last 45 minutes, I've checked several times. It was 900 down, 900 megabits per second down, and about 40 up. So that's beyond what I actually usually get. So, yeah, it's not the internet. It's how is everybody doing now? Are you guys? I know you're a little bit behind, so just let me know how you're doing in chat. Thank you guys for being patient. Thank you for the 2,000 plus people that stuck through it anyways. Obviously, there's really important information today. I don't know if we have one of the D Live. It seems like there was very few issues. So maybe we'll try to take that and then re-upload it if there's a lot of issues. Maybe we can even try to update a lot of the crazy talk about it. Go ahead.
Replay and rewinding is fine. Anybody watching in the past, you're fine until you catch up with the buffer. So it's everything's there. It's just those trying to watch live keep getting buffered,
which is really annoying. Makes you wonder. And then Change Healthcare hacked by state actor, leaving pharmacies across the U.S. offline for patients. 30,000 pharmacies were affected by this. This is a bigger event as far as it's something that we've seen hacks to hospitals where they could not even continue already open surgeries. They had people opened up, and because of protocols and things that they absolutely have to do legally, there were people that they could not continue until they had connections. There was surgeries that got canceled, delayed. There was life or death surgeries that could not move forward because of internet outages. As far as today's event, it's like, well, why would this happen? It's really, really sketchy that this happens on the same day there's a congressional visit to Taiwan, and they say, this won't happen again. Was this a tit for tat? Like, you visited here, we're going to do this? Don't know. But this is a bigger hack, and it just kind of it backs up exactly what we've been saying, that they have backdoors into all of this stuff, and this is probably small fries compared to what they can do. I shouldn't even say probably. It is small fries compared to what they can do. And then China, a barge strikes a China bridge, taking the lives of 5 and sending vehicles plunging into the water. It said that 3 small trucks, a minibus, and a scooter, that's probably the roughest, fell off the Linksys Bridge at around 5:30 a.m. after one side of the ship hit a bridge support. Then the bow hit another pillar. It said, or the bow hit another pillar, causing a section of the bridge deck to crumble, authorities said. Video broadcast by Chinese state television shows that the debris from the roadway fell into the barge below, along with the minibus, the scooter, and one of the trucks. So instead of falling into the water, which maybe these people might have had a chance, don't know though, it's just like hitting cement when you fall from that far, they ended up hitting the boat. So it was like crashing into a brick wall. Either way, you'd probably be hitting a hard surface, but maybe with the water, somebody could have survived. Maybe if you're on top of a scooter and it hit the water, it would have taken the brunt of it. I don't know. But I would think that is why some of these guys perish. It's a crazy scene.
Did you show the pictures? I'm sorry, because of the delay, I can't tell, but
oh yeah,
the pictures were further down. Okay, yeah, crazy.
Yeah,
Can you imagine that?
Yeah, so the bridge fell into the boat. Just really really freaky. Look at that. You see that? It's just like, what is this? Almost looks like sand or water or something pouring into it. That is so freaky looking. And it wasn't full. If this thing was full, you'd imagine that maybe it would have been not that big of a fall. I mean, what was it this empty when this first happened? Again, I don't think they could have emptied it, right? But the only pictures show a very empty cargo boat, and I wonder if this guy is going to be responsible for it. Well, I guess we'll see. More pictures and the tweets over on marfooglenews.com. You can see that. And then, again, make sure to go check out My Patriot Supply. If you don't have extra food, they have a huge deal on $60 off on the 1-month supply. Go over to marfooglenews.com/prep. Again, that is a great way, affordable way to get yourself freeze-dried food that will last 25 plus years. That's marfooglenews.com/prep. Dex, I hope it all picked up again. There was a lot of crazy stuff that went here. Island by the Sea, Cambria, Kiki Gray, Beer Juice, Vicky K. Thank you guys for putting up with that. Gem. Thank you for the support. Let's see here. We've got Susie Bailey Koopty. Thank you for the super thanks on preparing for World War III. That was much, much appreciated. Thank you. And then thank you, Wings and Wags Patriot. Thank you so much for the birthday wishes for Dex. Stephen McMahon, thank you as well. Let's see here. Craig Alicious from Australia says that buffering here in Australia too. Viv B says rewind just a few seconds. It stops the buffering, which is crazy. What does that say about it, right? Stephen McMahon, our satellites and airplane overflights would see the massive military buildup in China before invasion. So Stephen McMahon says our satellites and airplane overflights would see the massive military buildup in China before the invasion. One thing that there is, though, there's rumors that over the last 2 years, they have actually brought more equipment towards the water. There was a time period last year, about a year and a half ago, where they said that they were moving tanks into warehouses by the water. If you remember that, we covered that back then. So who knows? Maybe they're still there, or maybe they are doing it a little bit at a time. Hopefully they're just not. Let's see here. And then End of Days. One of the people said they're not buffering on my other lives. YouTube on like. I hope it's not something personal. My wife and me live in Northwest PA in the same house on the same cell plan. My wife's and my phone went down 4 a.m. till 11 a.m., but my daughter's phone was not affected at all. Kevin Hicks, that's weird. Kevin, thank you for being here too, by the way. Kevin Hicks says all 3 phones on the same plan. 2 of them went out. 1 of them did not. Maybe it's the model of phone, and maybe one has newer technology or older tech, or one of them was going off of other, like she traveled, came home, and was still attached to another cell tower. I don't know how that would work, but that is weird. Let's see here. Stream is buffering with real-time streaming. When I rewind it, it doesn't buffer. Thank you. Ray the Way, thank you for being here for a long time now. Kenny Cams, thank you. And then, of course, Gunpowder Productions. I posted proof on X, Gunpowder Maniac, showing once service came back, people were sending in English, but receiving it in Xi's country's language. Weird. That is freaky. Gunpowder Productions, can you send me a link? I will locate that after. Can you DM me on Twitter? If you do it now, then I'll be able to see it at the top. I'll have to accept the message. If you DM me, my DMs are open, but then I have to accept it. So I get a lot of DMs, and then it goes into two different boxes. The people I've already accepted, then it will show up right away. The people I haven't accepted yet, it goes into a big box. All right. Dex, thank you so much for putting up with all the craziness.
Absolutely, brother. Much love and great job. I know it's been difficult with the streaming issues.
And we'll see how it ends up. Thank you so much over on DLive. Thank you everybody that has supported over there. And we put a lot of work into today's show, especially. So it very much appreciated that you guys all stuck through it. Viv B, you're our top supporter. We're going to be heading over to Jams. So definitely a Viv B song in the works. Thank you so much. We'll see if Jams is any better. That might be one way to tell. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out.